I was muted, so we're gonna do that whole thing again. Yeah, it's okay. This stuff happens. Plus, in all seriousness, a lot of people like me muted. So, hello everybody. It's Stoppage Time. I'm Lawrence Prezman, the Prez. I am taping this out of my current address. This is the last time I ever do a show out of this home. I am moving on Monday. If anybody is in the vicinity of where I live, come over, pack up. Help me pack my house. Pretty please. Nick Borrman with us, Carmine Bianco, Kevin Dolan. A shout out to Tim C, always waiting for us. Love having you here, my brother. Benson Abasai. If that's not a soccer name, I don't know of one. I'm thinking the dude's got a man bun, fit as shit. El Rey, how are you? Jake Horowitz, nice to see you. Folayan Wilson, that's quite the name as well. Nice to have you with us. Nick Borrman, let's start with you. How is everything? How many times have you tried to make a baby this week?
That is confidential because it's embarrassing for me. I'm like a bear. After you get shot, I get in there for one shot, and then I'm like, and that's it. It's over. I haven't done for like 6 hours after
okay, that should have remained confidential. you had us at the beginning with the confidential part.
Good few days. It's been a good few days, but we are that time has come and gone. So now it's back to, you sit over on that side of the couch, I'll sit over here, and we'll talk every now and then.
Carmine Bianco, let's shut him up. What's going on with you, bro? Tell it. You got a new show starting tomorrow. Tell us about that before we get to Kevin. I do intend on making fun of Kevin this show. Just shout out, let everyone know. Carm?
No, don't do that, man. That's not.
What do you mean? Right. He's from the UK. Taking the piss is the highest form of a compliment.
Brothers, so I know where you live. All right. So Kev sends me the IRA way of making a bomb, and I can take care of you, buddy. I wouldn't start your car. I'd be careful. Anyways, man, things are good. This show tomorrow, it'll go live tomorrow at 12:30, maybe a little earlier. 12:15, because we'll talk for a few minutes, but this is a live betting show. So Nick and I will be live betting the FA Cup quarterfinals, Manchester United against Norwich. Should be a good game, and I've set up a separate betting account, and I've loaded up with cash. So these are going to be actual bets that we're making, and at the end we'll donate it to some good cause. I know Kelly and Minty are really big on the whole pet shelters, so maybe we'll do something for Vegas and the animal shelters there.
Okay, there you go. He's Carmine Bianco. He's got a show starting tomorrow with Nick Borrman. It's called Stoppage Time, in-game betting edition, 12:30 Eastern. I hope you guys will join us. Shout out to Jordan Kane, another outstanding name. David Tabati, just a regular name. So no offense, David. And El Rey 86, that ain't your name. Kevin Dolan from Ireland. Tell us a joke and then we're going to talk.
I was approached by a Chinese drug dealer the other day. He said, "Have you seen my cocaine?" I says, "No, not since Batman Begins."
Carm, you got that?
Yes, I got that.
Nick, did you get that? Am I the only idiot?
No, I think.
Just take it slow. Think about it.
Get your time to sink in, Brad.
Okay.
Get there.
Chris liked that joke.
Cocaine.
Okay, I'm an idiot. So Kev, Carm, do you know the name of the... I'm moving on from the joke. Carm, do you know the name of the Irish airline? Every country, like we have Air Canada, and, Abu Dhabi has, Etihad. Do you know the name of the Irish one?
It's Air CC. Air Cork City.
Nick, do you know?
No.
I don't.
Kev, I just am asking this question because I love hearing an Irishman say those words. So what is the name of the Irish airline?
Aer Lingus.
What? Aer Lingus. I mean, seriously. That is just beautiful. How come you don't roll your R's?
No
So,
idea. Who does that? They only do that in Barcelona.
no, they do that in Ireland. So before we get into the show, I got to tell you, Kev, I used to travel all over the world debating when I was in university. I actually came 5th in the world in debating, and I used to debate against all of these Irish people, you know, from Edinburgh and Dublin and Cork and all these places, and nobody could understand a goddamn word they said. They would get up and speak for 7 minutes, and I'm telling you, the judges were like confused. We used to sit there and we used to be like, oh my God, please do not let it be an Irish judge. If it's not an Irish judge, we win. We don't even need to say anything because the judge ain't going to understand one damn word. So why don't you sound like, why isn't your accent, you know, that hardcore Erlingus?
Someone, there was a comedian once said that Ireland's the only country in the world where your next door neighbour has a different accent than you. You know, it just is what it is. Like, you know, so I'm from the north part of the country, and Cork's so difficult to understand. And, you know, you got places like Dublin and Kerry, obviously Edinburgh's in Scotland. It's like I have a couple of mates from Glasgow, can't understand them half the time. I just sit there and nod, you know, because I don't know what they're talking about. But what I would say my accent, because I'm from a place in Ireland called County Fermanagh, it's kind of slow, it's very countryside. So I'd say that, yeah, my accent's probably the easiest to understand.
Yes, that is true. Anyone bet the Estonia game? Elray wants to know.
No, have not. My bets do not start until this afternoon, where we're at now. So soon.
Okay. Well, let's get into it, boys. It's the final round of the Bundesliga season and a couple of games still with Championship League implications and also relegation implications. So let's get into that. Kevin, we're going to go to you first. Gladbach, they hold the final Championship League spot after Leverkusen lost. They're playing Hertha Berlin. Talk to me, baby.
Yeah, well, we kind of half talked about Hertha Berlin last week. I really like this team. So at first glance, this is a game that on the surface obviously means a lot more to the away team than it does to the home team. Hertha Berlin sit comfortably in mid-table, so not much to play for there. Mönchengladbach, who sit just 2 points ahead of Leverkusen for the last remaining Champions League spot. They need at least a draw here to ensure they qualify for next season's Champions League, as they have a solid +9 goal differential over Leverkusen. In terms of home form, though, Gladbach have been tremendous. They have a tremendous record at home this year. They're ranked 3rd in the league overall on home soil. They've suffered just 3 losses at home all season, and all of those came against top 5 teams in the league in Leipzig, Dortmund and Leverkusen. As we just said, we highlighted before last week's Leverkusen-Hertha Berlin game that this Hertha team can be extremely tricky, and they're more than capable of accepting the apple cart in spots like these. They've had some good wins all season. They had wins against Leverkusen, Wolfsburg. So, you know, that means where this line sits right now, plus 1.5, that's a sizable head start for them here. And the last time they failed to cover a line of this size on the road was all the way back to November 24th against Augsburg, of all teams. Despite an extremely impressive home record this season, Gladbach have only covered this 1.5 line at home in 2 of the last 6 matches within Borussia Park. And their expected goals average is a lot lower than what they've been putting up over recent games. Over the last 2 home games against Union Berlin and Wolfsburg, respectively, the Folds have put up 7 goals across those 2 games, yet their expected goals average was just 2.16 in the Berlin game and 1.74 in the Wolfsburg game. So they've been getting a bit fortunate in the conversion rate over those few games. Overall, I just see this game with Leipzig playing Augsburg and Leverkusen playing Mainz. You would expect both of those teams to get the win. So maintaining 4th will be the key focus for Marco Rose here. And I'm expecting a more cautious kind of protect the league type of game from Mönchengladbach because they only need that draw on this one. So with all that said, we have a slight lean. I have a slight lean to Hertha Berlin here, catching the plus 1.5 goals. Won't make my card, but that's definitely the way I'd play it, you know, if I had to.
Carmine Bianco, red card, yellow card, or no card?
No, I tend to agree with them. This is one of those games where I don't really see. Obviously, Mönchengladbach need only a draw, and you don't play a game only needing a draw. But what you do is you play a little more technical, a little more defensively. You still play your game, you still try and win. But if they get that one goal, they're not going to be pushing for the second goal. They don't need a second goal. So when you're taking the plus 1.5, you've got an advantage here in that the tighter this game is, Gladbach can and probably will shut it down in that last 25 minutes of the game if it's a one-goal game, or even in their favor if it's a draw, or they're up a goal. They're not going to push. They're not going to do anything to risk losing a point. But again, they're not going to put a defensive lineup out there. Thuram's not going to play. He's their leading goal scorer. I think Kevin's got this one right. I ran and I'll get to a second. I ran every single total through an Opta database, and there's a lot of big numbers, but this one came in staying under this total of 3.5. So I'll have my plays up. I think Kevin's bang on here. No card.
Excellent stuff. Nick Borrman, what are your thoughts?
Agree. No card. There's no reason for Gladbach to push for anything at the end of the game. If it's 1-goal lead, if it's drawn. Of course, if they're down, they're going to be pushing to get that draw and at least get a point. But as long as they get a point here, they're good. I don't see any reason to lay a big number on a team that doesn't need a win at all. So I can't justify it. All the XG numbers, the expected goals numbers Kevin mentioned, I like to look at those too. I agree 100% with their goals that have been scored aren't really. The opportunities weren't truly fully there, so it's not like this team has been putting up a ton of goals or at least creating a ton of chances. So I don't see it. I think both the under and Hertha are probably the way to play this one. So I'm in agreement with these guys. No card.
Guys, Jordan Kane wants to know if anybody bets Serie B. He's got Pordenone at plus 200. Does anyone have a comment?
I was just answering now that I do Serie B games. I just haven't done any since the restart, but I will have quite a few plays because there's a lot of, I hate to say this, there's a lot of weird, shady stuff that goes on in the last 5 rounds of the Serie B standings. You actually will see draws where the draw is minus 130. And Kevin loves draws, but he doesn't love taking a draw at minus 130. I can tell you that much, but it's what you see. And then you see that these games finish 0-0. Because that 1 point favors both teams. It helps both teams. There's a lot of stuff that happens in Serie B in the last 5 weeks, and that's when I'll put up plays.
Nick Borrman, your turn, brother. Leverkusen, important bloody game for them after they lost 2-0 to the Hertha team we were just talking about. They're going to be scoreboard watching as well, which is definitely has to be taken into account. My guess is if Gladbach is up 2-0, midway through the second, the shoulders are going to shrug, faces are going to get sad, and they're just going to look like, well, all the people who live in Ireland, frankly. So with that said, where are we going with this one? Don't shake your head at me, Carmine.
You're absolutely right. Must win for Leverkusen. Unfortunately for them, I think they're going to come up short. They had their chances. They got nobody to blame but themselves. They had a couple games they lost here. Well, they had a draw and a loss in their last 3. And they got nobody to blame but themselves. This was a team that was absolutely rolling prior to the pause.
Yeah.
And it was one that I was looking back all the time, and they were killing it in the Europa League, they were killing it in the Bundesliga, and then I think it hurt them. It really took their momentum away. They haven't quite looked the same since they came back. They've had a couple good games, but they've had a couple duds as well. So unfortunately, I think they're going to come up a little bit short. As far as betting on this game, the number minus 1.75 and the total 3.75, both higher than I think we would see if this was middle of the season. But being that, they have to win and Mainz has technically nothing to play for as far as standings go, you're going to see these inflated numbers, which Carm kind of mentioned. You're seeing high totals and inflated numbers all around this league this week. Ultimately, I do think Leverkusen will win this game. I'm not a fan of the number the way it is right now. So there are lots of different ways you can kind of look to play this. if you look at the numbers behind Leverkusen, the problem I have with them is defensively. They're just not up to the same level as the top teams in the league. And the goals actually that they've given up this year are over 5 goals better than what's been expected against them on the XG number. So they've overperformed, and they're suggested to have 8 points less than they should have right now in the season. So this is kind of a situation where they probably shouldn't even be where they are right now. They should probably be down in the middle of the Europa battle, not where they are in the Champions League battle. But that being said, I don't see them keeping a clean sheet here. So I'm looking at the both teams to score and over 2.5 market. That's a combo bet that's offered. It's around minus 130 because I think Mainz will score. I do like Leverkusen to win, but again, minus 1.75 if they win by 2. You're not really getting true value there. Minus 1.5 is around minus 145 or so, so a little higher than I'd like to lay. Plus 2,500 is an interesting one. 3-1 final score for Leverkusen. So I think that's got good value. I think the game could end around there, but even if it does, again, those bets are just half winners. So I just don't see a lot of value on those lines. So I'm kind of looking at those other markets, but I like the both teams to score and over 2.5. You could also do both teams to score, Leverkusen and over 2.5 combo bet there, but that's kind of high. That's around minus 170. But I think both teams to score and over 2.5 is the way I'd look here.
Mr. Bianco?
Yeah, no card for Nick. I completely agree. I hate to see this Leverkusen team not make the Champions League, but that's still not official, and for obviously a reason. They came out of the break, they looked great, and then they came home. They won 2 games on the road, including beating Gladbach at Gladbach 3-1. Then they came home, and they laid an absolute egg, losing 4-1 to Wolfsburg. They were never in that game from the get-go. It was just unbelievable how bad they played. And that's the game that probably ends up sinking them. The positive here, they're still in the Europa League. They beat Rangers 3-1 away. I think they still have to play that leg 2 still. So they're likely moving into the quarterfinals of the Europa League. And just remember, the team that wins the Europa League makes it into the Champions League. So they still have a lifeline if they can win that competition and make it into win the Europa League and make it into the Champions League next season.
My Irish friend?
Yeah, no card for me either. Agree with Nick. If I had to play the game, I'd lean over.
Okay. Boys, Carm, last night, so in Canada, our ESPN, which is called TSN or Sportsnet, depending on which, they've been running these like top 40, top 100 plays of this and, just mashing content together to come up with something. Last night they had the top 40 best endings of all time. There were a ton of soccer endings, including one where I think City was down by a few goals in injury time and ended up winning the game. Did you get to see that at all, Carm? It was great.
I didn't, but I remember a title race that went down to the last game, and they kept going back and forth between the games. I think it might have been the City one, and City scored 2 goals in the last couple minutes.
Of injury time.
Like injury time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ended up winning the championship. I believe that's the one that you're referencing.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. They had so many. Jordan's buzzer beater, Robert Uri's buzzer beater, Derek Fisher's buzzer beater. They had a bunch of soccer stuff, including the Barca 6-7-1 comeback a couple of years ago. But they left out the Christian Leitner Duke ending, and I don't understand. I was sitting with Viv, and I was like, what do you think the number one's going to be? What do you think the number one's going to be? And I'm like, man, I mean, the Leitner ending has to be top 5. It wasn't even in the top 40. Anyway.
Did they have other college sports in there, or was it just professional?
No, they had college sports. They actually had that incredible Notre Dame, the women, the Notre Dame last second shot. And of course, Kawhi Leonard, when, as a Raptor, they had that game 6 shot against Philadelphia. It was really fun to watch.
Did they have the Reggie Miller one?
Yeah, So it wasn't because it wasn't just
3 times.
Yeah, it wasn't, and they had the Larry Bird one where he stole the inbound pass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. Kev, Jordan Kane, I don't understand this question. He wants to know what the average height of Irish people are. They seem small.
You don't look at the Lucky Charms box and assume that's everybody in the country. It's like, I wouldn't imagine it's that big. I would say, 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, in other words, like every race.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think we're broader. You know what I mean? We got good backs. Good backs in Ireland. Strong backs. You know what I mean? So, like, we make up for that maybe lack of height. Like, we're obviously not the Dutch. You know, we all know Nick's genes. Nick, you're from Holland, right? That's where your genes come from?
I have a quarter of it in me.
So it's like, they're the tallest race, aren't they? The tallest race, especially in Europe. So it's like, we're tallest people, tallest country, whatever. So it's like, yeah, we're not as tall as them, but we take them in a fight, no problem. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I would. I listen. As far as a singing contest goes, you win. Fights, you win. Jake Hurwitz, the New England Super Bowl comeback was in the top 5. Just it was so fun to watch. I mean, I watch a lot of these because I just cannot watch the news anymore. I don't mean to go off topic so much, but Vivian texts me, like, she's upstairs, I'm downstairs watching the news. She texted me at midnight a couple of nights ago. She's like, what's going on the news? Anything interesting? I'm like, oh yeah, breaking news. Anderson Cooper, he's talking to Sanjay Gupta for the 700th time today alone. And in case you didn't know about it, there's a coronavirus going on, a Black Lives Matter movement going on, and an election coming up. Other than that, nothing else is going on in the entire world. Carm, you want to say something?
Yeah, you know what? It's depressing. If my wife walks into the room, she's like, "Can we put on something else?"
Yeah, I can't deal with it.
Which gets us to Netflix. I've been watching a Netflix series. Just finished season 1 of it. I'm gonna watch season 2. It's called You.
Oh God, Carmine! Really?
I actually enjoyed it. It's about a stalker. Who doesn't like a series about a stalker? This guy is so demented with what he does. It is just, I actually enjoyed it. And I'll tell you why, Lawrence, because it's something that I can watch with my wife that we both enjoy, because I usually take hold of all the series that we watch and stuff, right? So like Jack Ryan and Treadstone and Man in the High Castle.
Yeah,
so,
could not get past episode 2.
Peaky Blinders. Yeah, I've loved Peaky Blinders. So anyways, why don't we get to the third game on the cards?
No. I just want to point out that we have a great promo up for everybody. $129 for every single MLS bet from any one of these 3 handsome dudes. And of course, the stud of them all, Pavlos. So $129. Head over to WagerTalk.com. 30 days of plays. Every single bet that these guys release in the MLS for only $129. And also, make sure to check us out at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Marco D'Angelo is not on the horse racing show today. He's recovering from a situation, nothing major. So we have Sig and a special guest on our horse racing show, and that's a really great show. And just to leave you with one last thing before we get into the AC Milan Roma game, the best thing I've watched on Netflix or Prime this entire COVID has been World War II in color. It blew my mind. Okay. Kev, we go to you, brother. AC Milan against Roma. What a disappointing season for AC Milan. They are sitting 9th. Roma 5th. Where are we going with these two teams that I think just probably want this over with? I'm dying to know why Carm is looking at me with this, like, ridiculous facial.
Yeah, Kevin will tell you in a second.
Yeah. Oh, you're not going to me. You know, you want to backtrack. It's Carm's game.
Oh, did I screw that up again?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. You're going to me.
Okay,
Yes,
we've gone. It's at you. Go ahead.
And two things first. Not to blow my own horn, but with that MLS package, that is up.
If you were able to blow your own horn, you wouldn't be on the show right now.
I am going to, anyone who buys it, I'm going to have a selection on every single game. So I'm not going to pick and choose. It's just that I won't have a side or total on every single game, but I will have a prop bet on every single game. So aside from the game selections, if there's a game that I don't like a side or a total, I will have a prop bet within that. So you'll get 56 different selections throughout this tournament. Now, let's head to Italy. This is a pretty good game. AC Milan and Roma. They're playing this at San Siro in Milan. Looking at this one, this is if you like a side in this game or you like the draw, you're going to get good odds because these teams are about $1.60 plus 160 each, or somewhere around there, depending on your book on the three-way line. Rome won their restart 2-1 at home against Sampdoria. They're 6 points back the Champions League spot, but this team, I don't know how they're doing it. This team is in ruins right now. Their sporting director, Gianluca Petracci, he's suspended. He can't even be at the stadium. Their owner's nowhere to be found. The president's trying to sell the team. And with a team with a storied history, such as Roma, with all the greats like Totti, it's just to see what is happening behind the scenes with this team is unbelievable. It hasn't affected them so far on the field, but it's only a matter of time before that does happen. They were so technically better than Sampdoria with all of the metrics. That final scoreline of 2-1 doesn't really tell the story. That could have been 4-1, 5-1. They're going to take on a Milan team that have played twice now. One was a scoreless draw against Juve in the Italian Cup League 2, from which they got bounced. And then they had a very good second half, beating Lecce 4-1 away. But take that with a grain of salt. This Lecce team is not very good.
They
They're
sound
going down to
tasty as hell. I mean, flat out delish.
It-
I want a caramel de leche.
They're going to Serie B next season. I'm quite certain. They're hanging on. Well, they're tied with Genoa. Genoa sounds good because you probably love their salami, Prez.
I actually don't, but that's okay. I just like hearing the names of all of these Italian teams.
Yeah, well, it's what it is. They're not a very good team. They've allowed a league high 60 goals. They're probably going to get lit up today by Juve, I believe. This is one of those games where a Juve team that usually wins 1-0 or 2-0 probably puts about 4 up there today. So as far as this game goes, I want to take Rome just because they're better. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is out of the lineup. He's still injured. He's a big part of, since they picked him up, of that front line. This might be one of those low-scoring games. Yeah. So if you're looking at exact score type things, you're going to see that the lowest price on the board is 1-1 draw at plus 550. I'm going to go with Roma 2-1 scoreline, and you get plus 900 on that. There's not much between these two teams. If this was in Roma, I would definitely be backing Roma, and they'd probably be laying 3/4 of a goal. So given that, I'll take the plus 150 on the road with Roma, and I'll probably take a 2-1 exact score line at plus 900 is your odds. And thankfully, these guys have saved their yellow cards and red cards for now. So go ahead, boys. Use them up.
Kevin?
No card from me. As Carmine said, there's just too much going on behind the scenes, so I stayed away from the game. No opinion.
Nick Borrman?
No card from me, and it's a tough one. The only thing I was kind of looking at was both teams to score play, and that's kind of high at minus 155. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game. I think either side could sneak in a winner. If anything, I think both net one. That 1-1 draw looks like a possibility. 2-1. I have no negative thing to say about that for Carm. So fortunately, this is a tough one. I think it's going to be a both team score. I think 1-1 looks good to me.
Nick, you're on the golf show. We do that show every Tuesday. It's really, really great. Kelly hosted it this past week. We're now into Friday, day 2. Did you bet anything this morning?
I did not bet anything this morning. All my plays were tournament matchups, and then prop plays like leaderboard bet stuff like that. All stuff pre-tournament start. So I didn't do anything for round 2. If that's what you're asking.
Well, how are you looking after one day in the books?
So far, so good. I have the matchup plays I have right now. 3 of them look good. One, Harmon, looks like he's going to miss the cut. The other 3 all look very good right now. And then I got a couple top 20 bets. Hovland had played great yesterday. He only shot -1 the day so far, so he's tied for 5th. So I got a couple guys up there near the top, and hoping it's going to go pretty well. So it's a long ways to go. Golf is...
Two weeks in a row, we've had an outstanding start from a Canadian.
Oh, yeah, I know. Mackenzie Hughes shooting 60 yesterday. Yeah, I had some round 1 leader bets. As soon as he posted that 60, which was early in the morning, I was like, well, those are all done. Nobody's watching that. It was an awesome round.
Yeah.
I think he finished with 5 or 6 straight birdies. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah,
good.
But Canadians in golf only start well. Just one guy one time has ended
you got
well.
Mike Weir.
I said one guy one time.
Oh, okay.
He never did another thing. Guys, the Luis Suarez Award. Kevin, I'll go to you first. It is the award given out to the person that does the stupidest thing of the week.
I'm gonna go to something just fast. That's like it's not particularly a one-off, but it's something that's been annoying me for a while. It's Ryan Fraser at Bournemouth. If you know about soccer, you know the situation. So just to give you a quick backdrop, because of the extended season, Premier League teams had to issue temporary contracts because most contracts would be up on a regular basis, but because of the extended season, they had to issue them temporary contracts. So obviously, most players signed. We had like Simon Francis, Charlie Daniels, Arthur Burke. They all signed for Bournemouth because that's what you're meant to do. You play for this club, you sign till the end of the season. However, probably their best player, Ryan Fraser, he refused to sign. Said he'd rather sit on the bench, see out the season. We're talking about a couple of games. And this player has been with this club basically since he got into first team football. They took him from the Championship. They took him all the way up to the Premier League. He's been a regular starter. He's got interest from Arsenal, Tottenham, all the big teams in the league. And now he's like, nah, and it wouldn't be so bad if Bournemouth were mid-table, but they're not. They're fighting for their survival in the Premier League. And this is a guy who'd rather just sit in the stands watching. They lost to Wolves. And I find that level of disloyalty just staggering. For a guy who's been at that club for so long, 7 years, he'd rather just sit on the bench and I watched them go down. And I can tell you now, if I was on the Tottenham or Arsenal board, I would want nothing to do with this player. Because How could you have that toxicity in the dressing room, So, he's my pick of the week, Ryan Fraser.
Carmine Bianco?
Mine goes to, and I think Nick might agree with this, Inter player, Gagliardini. I have that posted on my Twitter.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Literally the big gaping net in front of him, the ball in front of him, his foot to the ball, put it in. But what's he do? Much like any Italian has done when they take penalty kicks, he soars this thing over the net.
Hit the crossbar, Carm.
Hit the crossbar. But we, I'm talking about what we usually do with penalties. It's unbelievable. Just after he's gonna, they won the game. I'm actually happy he missed because I had under 2.75, so that game finished 2-1. So I only lost half my wager as opposed to the whole one if he slots that home. But my God, what a miss!
Yeah, Nick Borrman.
I'm gonna go with the entire team of Sochi, which is Russian Premier League. Last weekend, they had a match versus Rostov. Now, what happened is Rostov, I don't know how many players, but several players in the team tested positive for COVID, so they had to be quarantined. Now, the Russian Premier League allows the game to be postponed if both teams agree. Sochi, battling relegation, said no thank you, and they made Rostov play, and they had kids out there that were like 16 years old. Believe it or not, Rostov comes out, scores in the first 2 minutes, right? They're up with a bunch of kids. They lose 10-1. Unbelievable that they even made them play.
I got to be honest with you, Nick. I'm taking the side of Sochi.
Well, listen, I get why they did it, but in the fair play of sportsmanship, I'll say this.
There is no fair play of sportsmanship's a big load of crap.
2 days later, the same thing happened in Krasnodar, Dynamo Moscow, in the same league, and they postponed. Same situation. Yeah. I'm just saying, Rostov also is in the Champions League battle, so it kind of sucks for them. But hey, all's fair that ends fair. How's that saying going? I don't know.
Yeah, we understand what you're trying to say. Carm,
I have one quick story I'm going to tell Lawrence.
Because this show has definitely remained on topic.
Okay, this goes back to when my parents were in Italy. My dad, God bless him, who's since passed away, would tell us this story about my uncle. My uncle was the backup goalkeeper for Campobasso, which is it's one of the cities in Abruzzo. And during the summer, their team hosted Rome. Rome came, they were playing friendlies, and they usually play these friendlies against teams that they're going to beat up 11-0, 12-0, 13-0, or whatever. So Rome puts all of their junior guys in for the first half, and our team is winning 3-0 at halftime. At halftime, they bring in my uncle in goal. And he's standing there and he's just jumping up. He's going side to side. He's stretching out. And people are like, oh, my God, who's that in net? And they're like, it's Ralph, right? Well, Rome scores 11 goals in the second half, and they win the game 11-3. They put 11 by my uncle, and we've never let him live it down. So that might be the Suarez moment of the show. But can you imagine live betting that game? That would have been great.
Okay, good story, Carm. Thank you for sharing. What's for lunch today, Carm?
I made lasagna last night, Prez. I'm sorry. I made lasagna.
You don't have to give it to me every time you make it, bro.
Yeah. I have half left. I'm going to have that while I watch the Juve game. And then I'm gearing up because tomorrow, after we do our live betting show, Nick and I am going to a patio, an Italian place, Oliver and Bonaccini. Lawrence, you know it?
Oliver Bonaccini or whatever?
Yeah, Bayview Village.
Yeah,
it is my birthday tomorrow. I am celebrating.
The Italian restaurant there, the Indian restaurant there, Goa, is way better. Boys, consensus.
Celebrate my birthday. So.
What? I know it's your birthday tomorrow.
My birthday, so yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to wish you happy birthday now. I'm going to wish you happy birthday tomorrow, but of course I'll forget. So everybody wish Karma happy birthday tomorrow. Boys, consensus pick of the week. Kevin, do you know what it is? Because I don't.
Yeah, I do. Happy birthday, Karma, by the way. Deportivo Alaves at Atletico Madrid. That's going to be, so we like the Atletico side of the play. Very simple for me, at least. Atletico only lost one game at home all season. Alaves have the second worst road record in the league, and their 2.27 goals conceded away from home average is the league's worst. Got to be Atletico.
Carmen, Nick, any want to add to that at the same time?
I'll let Nick go.
Yeah, sure. On top of that, I mean, since the restart, Atletico has kept 3 out of 4 clean sheets. They've only allowed 1 goal. Alaves has been blanked in 3 of their 4 games. And then the XG numbers, expected goals behind that. I mean, Atletico is at a 2.25 allowed expected goals number, which is very low for 4 games. And Alaves is at 2.13 offensively. 1.5 of that coming in that 1 win they had. So the other 3 games have been completely disasters. One of those, they did get an early red card, but still. Atletico to win to 0 is also another way I like to play this one. That's minus 125, just in case they get that 1-0 win, which they like a lot of times. So that's another way to look at this one.
Bianco?
Nick took my win to 0 bet.
What?
But he took my win to 0 bet, the minus 125. I think that's the best price here on a way to attack this game, because it could be a 1-0 type game. They've only scored 39 goals, Atletico, but they have the second best defensive record, having allowed only 22. Real Madrid have the lowest at 21. So yeah, win to nil. This could be one of those 1-0, 2-0 kind of games. And then they shut it down. They're playing really well right now, Atletico. So I think bang on with this play that we all agree Atletico will win here.
I am going to eat a shawarma in about 3 minutes. I wish it was one from a stand in Israel, because, oh my God, they're the best. They put French fries in them. Oh my God, they're so good. So I'm getting out of here. What, Carm?
I said, really? I've never heard of French fries in a shawarma.
Oh, dude. The shawarmas in Israel, or I'm sure any Middle Eastern country, are like off the charts, bro. Anyway, guys, I cannot thank you enough for joining us. Everybody who came in, we obviously didn't start the show really until Richard Casey showed up. But huge thanks to Jordan, Folleyan, Tim, David, Elray, Jordan, on and on and on. We really hope you guys like the show. We try to make it fun and light. We give out, picks on all the major games, consensus pick. It's a fun show.
Tell me if you figured out my joke by next week as well. You've got a full week to work it out.
Listen, Kevin, your joke is so in and out of my head, it's not even funny. Yeah, dude. Like,
oh my God, it was a good one.
Thank you, Carmine. Right?
Okay, Nick. Kevin, here you go. Way to go on your joke, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm so proud of you. Guys, make sure to check out the in-game live version of Stoppage Time tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern. Nick and Carmine are giving up their time to do this with you all. So make sure to check it out. Not only that, but they're going to be betting their actual money and then donating the wins to charity. So they're either going to lose their money or they're going to lose their money. So make sure to check that show out. I will log in at some point to say hello. 3 p.m. Eastern is our next show, The Pony Pundits. Make sure to check that out. And it has been an absolute pleasure to do this show with the three of you. Lots of love, guys. And I hope the ball bounces in every direction that you need. That's it.
Unless we have the under.